Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. I'm a property investor. I've made quite a lot of money in property over the last decade, and now I spend a lot of my time answering people's questions about property investment on YouTube. So thank you so much for coming to my channel. Please do smash the like button if you enjoy my content, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss future videos. Now, I'm going to be taking some questions from last week's video. However, I want to answer your sticky, tricky property investment questions. So if you've got any questions around finance, business, tax, mortgages, buy-to-let property, HMOs, service accommodation, lease option agreements, rent-to-rents, deal packaging, anything at all, comment below, and next week I will answer your questions. So let's see what we had from last week. Reese Nibbs says, one of your Winners Wednesday students said they're refinancing a house bought with cash, but how can you refinance a house which doesn't have a mortgage on it? So very simply, you can refinance a house that doesn't have a mortgage on it by getting a mortgage on it. So that would be called refinancing it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Let's see what else we've got. Chase Maston. Where do you get the money to refurbish a home if buying with no money down? Okay, so if you buy a house, no money down, i.e. you take control of it, or you buy it with a bank loan, or you do it as a joint venture, your question is, how do you then refurbish the house? My answer would be the same way that you financed the house in the first place. If you finance the house in the first place by using an investor's money, then use that same investor's money to do the refurb. If you did it with a bank loan, then get a bank loan. Or buy a house that doesn't need a refurb. Or if you're doing buy, refurbish, refinance, and you're buying a house and refurbing it to refinance it, so there was a lot of bridging companies that would give you 100% development finance, and then you can then just refinance it on a buy-to-let mortgage. So I guess it's quite a big question. It would depend on the specifics. If you have a specific property in mind, tell me more about it, and I'll do my best to answer next week. Adil says, I tried to message a landlord on Spareroom to ask if they wanted guaranteed rent via a rent-to-rent deal, and I was banned from Spareroom. Okay, because I went against their policies, so I wouldn't recommend going through Spareroom. Yeah, Adele, I wouldn't say don't go through Spareroom. Maybe a couple tips. Number one, I probably, even when I saw what you said, when you said, I asked them if they wanted a guaranteed rent via rent-to-rent, it sounds a little bit weird. Landlords might report you. I would be more inclined to say, I'm a management company. You know, if you'd be interested in receiving a guaranteed rent or even selling, I'd love to have a chat with you. That might be a little bit of a better approach, but you are correct. If you send lots of messages to landlords on Spareroom, Spareroom will pick it up because they will sense that it is not genuine and they might block your account. So probably the best thing to do is on Spareroom, see what the person's actual email is direct, or even their phone number direct, and then message them direct rather than using the Spareroom platform to send lots of messages. But good luck, and I'm glad that you're taking massive action, and I hope to see you smash it on rent-to-rents. Respect. Joes says, hi Samuel, if I buy a house on a lease option agreement, let's say 5 years, when it gets to the end and I don't want to buy the house, what happens to the tenants that are living there? Thank you. Whatever you put in the contract. If you've got tenants there and the contract says that if you want to walk away from the property at the end, you've got to hand it back as it was and empty, then you're going to have to, before the end of the contract, you're going to have to give the tenants notice to leave. So it just depends on what you agreed. Hope that helps. Grigor. I'm a first-time buyer and have saved up for a deposit to buy a house, but now I'm in two minds whether to buy and live or buy to invest, as I have no experience. My advice would always be to buy and invest. I think buying to live is a little bit of a waste of money because that's what we're told to do. We're told to save up, buy a house to live in, and then pay off the mortgage. And I'm very against that system. I think that it will keep you poor. It will keep you a slave to money. It will keep you in a rat race job. You'd be much better off to put that into an investment property that gives you income. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is the house that you live in is not an asset because it's not putting money in your back pocket every single month. I mean, there are exceptions. You could buy a house to live in and then rent out one or two of the rooms. It could become an asset. So I'm not saying it's a terrible idea, but my general guidance would usually be to buy to invest. Next, Afro Promotions. I've got a question. What stops someone from signing an NDA, that's a non-disclosure agreement, and still going behind your back to proceed with the deal, cutting you out? I'm assuming you can take legal action, but surely this will cost more than the actual deal and you'll ultimately lose. No, you will not lose. If someone signs an NDA and then they break it and you take it up legally with the small claims court, you will win. Like every time, because you've had an NDA. Now the question is whether you'd want to. Sometimes I tend to be a man of principle, and even if it's going to cost me £500, you might think, is it worth the hassle and the £500 just to get £1,000 or £2,000 back? Maybe it's not, but if someone has literally signed an NDA and then broken it, that is one of the worst things that you can do as far as a court is concerned. So most people won't do that because they don't want to be sued, and also most people care about their reputation, and if they do that, it would make them look like an absolute mug. So I've had hundreds of NDAs signed with when I was packaging and selling hundreds of deals. I was often using NDAs depending on the type of deal, and never once have I had anybody cut me out. So what I have had is I've had some investors pretend that they already knew the property existed, but that's a whole nother story. So I hope that helps. Okay, Kian Connor says, hi Samuel, I'm 14, respect. And I've been watching your videos. I want to have a house with as little money as possible. Don't we all? I want to know if I could buy a house with a bridging loan and then refinance the property, pay the loan back and have a free house, and then rent it and have passive income. Hope that makes sense. Thank you and have a good day. Great stuff. Yeah, that's basically effectively how it works, correct. But it's more about the house itself than the finance. But yeah, if you take a bridging loan and you buy a house and then you push the value up, you can then refinance and use that money to pay back the bridging loan. You're going to be left with not quite a free house. It's going to be a free house as in you didn't put any money down, but you are going to have a mortgage to pay. But you are correct, you could rent that out. It would pay the mortgage and also give you an income. So congratulations, and you're 14, go find some good houses. And of course you're too young to get bridging and things like that, but hey, I bought my first house at 17, I put it in my stepdad's name. So be creative, keep hustling, and respect for being on the channel. Supriya Sharma says, hi, you are an inspiration, Samuel. I'm starting to put your advice in action. Question, is having an interest-only buy-to-let mortgage a good idea? I want to turn my current home into a buy-to-let after taking some money for main home deposit. I'm worried that monthly mortgage will be too high for both properties. Any advice, please? Supriya, you can do that. Buy-to-let mortgage. Listen, are buy-to-let mortgages good or bad? It's just a loan. It's just a mortgage. It depends. It's more to the point is your house a good house? If you've got a buy-to-let mortgage, typically you'll get 75% loan to value, meaning if the house is worth £100,000, the bank will give you £75,000, 75% of the value of the house. And then you're going to have a £25,000 deposit left in the property, and you're going to pay about 3-4% on the loan. So does it stack? If you did that, would you be making profit? And if you wouldn't, it might be worth selling that house and buying one where you would make money. So hope that helps. Mark's Lifestyle. Hi Samuel, I just graduated, congratulations, and want to get into the rent-to-rent business. I have about £25,000 saved up. Should I jump in straight or wait and get a full-time job? I'm concerned landlords may ask how I'm going to pay the rents if I don't have a full-time job now. So Mark's Lifestyle, there is no right or wrong answer. I usually advise if people are starting property that they do it alongside a job. And that is just because I don't want my students to be stressed up to their eyeballs saying this has to work, this has to work, this has to work. Because if you're coming from a position of desperation, sometimes it's not a good place. And it even scares people, because if you're like, you desperately need a deal, you have desperate written on your forehead, people run away. Whereas if you've got a job, it's giving you a nice income, great, as long as your employer, there's no conflict of interest, and you've got the time, and you can start your business or investing in property. I think it's smart to work alongside. However, saying that, there's also nothing wrong with saying, it depends how much you need the money. If you've got responsibilities, you've got kids and mortgages, and it's like, oh my gosh, if I didn't get £2,000, I'm done, then maybe get a job. But if it's a case of, well, actually, you know what, I'm single and I know I'm gonna make this work, then great, just go and start full-time as an entrepreneur in business. There's no right or wrong. I went straight full-time, but then when I started, I was living with my mama. So like I'm 17 living with my mom, So I could do that. And as it happened, it worked out okay for me. But if you're starting out and you're 29 and you've got 2 cars and you're taking 2 holidays, you've got a wife and 3 kids, and you've got a mortgage to pay, and if you don't pay that mortgage, you're going to get bad credit, and then it probably wouldn't be sensible to just quit your job and suddenly just start, ta-da, in property from scratch. So it really does depend, and only you can make up that mind, but make that decision. But what I will say is just do something. Most people just don't do anything. They just think, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Don't be that person. So take action and do it alongside a job or do it as your main job, but do something. Afro Promotions. I'm sure I've spoken to you already on this thing. I have. It's another question. All right, let's see. Hi, Samuel. Also, I know you probably can't answer this question precisely, but roughly what percentage of value would adding an extra room to a house add to the final value of the property? Afro Promotions, it really just depends. I cannot give you a percentage because it depends on where it is. It depends on if it's a commercial property and you're going to add an extra room, it might push the rental price up, which is going to have a direct correlation on the price, and it's going to be very mathematical. Best bet is to speak to an estate agent and just say, how much would this property be worth? I mean, if you're going to lose a room, if you've got a 2-bed house with 2 reception rooms and you now turn it into a 3-bed, but you lose one of the reception rooms, but ta-da, it's now a 3-bed because you just put a bed in it, you're not going to whack the value of the house up. If you do an extension, you might. There's just so many factors. Okay, what else do we have? Simon Hill. I've been renting my property for 6 years now via an agency. I'd love to have the option to rent myself or do a lease option agreement with the landlord, but I'm not sure how to go about it as I've never met them. Would you recommend me knocking on their door and introducing myself or asking the agency to put me in contact with them? If you know where they live, give them a letter and just say, I love the house so much, I want to buy it. Can we have a chat? That's that. And then if he gets in touch, you can just tell him, I really love it and I want to buy it. The only problem is I haven't got the money to put down right now. So can I agree to buy it off you fixed down the line and just increase my rent a little bit? And that can go towards it monthly or whatever you want to do. The estate agent won't put you in touch with the agent, with the landlord, and the estate agent will probably just be really rigid and it does not tick the box. That's what they're always like, usually. Okay, Alan. I'm 13. I'm still confused on why some people have debt and don't pay it off. How can you change debt to be good? And what makes debt good or bad? Great question. So debt is debt. The reason what makes it good or bad is what you use the debt for. So if you take out you could go take out a loan from Sainsbury's for 10 grand tomorrow, and your brother could go and take out the exact same loan from the exact same bank from Sainsbury's. For you, it could be good debt, and for him, it could be bad debt. And the difference would be that you use that 10 grand and put it to work. And you buy something that's giving you some nice interest, that's paying back Sainsbury's interest and more. So you're using that to make money. Or you put that down into a business. And then that business starts making you money. And then with that money that you're making, you can pay back the loan. But now you've got an asset. That's good debt. Bad debt would be if you use the £10,000 and you go on holiday with it. And then you get back from the holiday and the suntan's gone, but now you're just 10 grand down. And the sickening thing is that in this country, we are taught to get into bad debt. We are taught to get into bad debt. We are brainwashed that it's okay to get into bad debt. And then when I start teaching good debt, I get jumped on and people say, Samuel's encouraging debt. I'm like, no. You're encouraging debt and you're encouraging bad debt. I'm encouraging good debt. And there's a very big difference. Bad debt's really bad, good debt's really good. And all successful businesses that I've ever known always run off of good debt. I don't know a business that doesn't have good debt, but they don't teach this in school. All right, next. So well done for watching my videos at 13 years old. Alan Murade. I have a question about rent to serviced accommodation. When running it, and you have a channel manager to manage bookings, etc., would you still need a property manager to check up on the property, or can you just ring the cleaner and make sure it's in good condition? Also, would you need to pay a maintenance company every month, or is that not needed? So, Alan, good question. I use cleaners. I call them super cleaners, or you can call them housekeepers, and they cannot just be a normal cleaner. They need to take ownership, and my cleaners pretty much run the show. Maintenance, you will need a maintenance team or a maintenance man ready on demand to come out for emergencies. Don't necessarily need to pay a monthly fee though. So hope that helps. And every serviced accommodation setup is always slightly different. DJ Mugeni, thanks for the brilliant job of answering our questions. You are so welcome. Please do smash the like button. I hope that the thumb is pointing up and I hope that it's blue and not white. And educating us about property business. My name is David. I've been on your DFE. Congratulations. That's Deal Finding Extravaganza. It's one of our amazing training programs. And I've got a flat now in Glasgow on serviced accommodation. Well done. That's what happens when you get trained. I'm struggling to get another one at the moment because we can't view properties now physically. What are the things to look for to make a decision on whether to buy the property or leave it? Thanks again for the good work. David, you've been trained, you know what you're doing, you've bought one, it's service accommodation, I assume it's working well. I would not buy blind, you got to view it. And I don't know why you say you can't view it physically. Is that because, estate agents are opened up. So everything's open right now. So I would view it and just do what you just did, but do it again. But I don't know, I'd love to know the figures of that flat you got in Glasgow. But this time, if you bought it with your own money, use someone else's money. Show them what you bought and then get them in on a deal. But I hope you're doing well. Keep me posted on how you get on. Drop me a message maybe on Insta or something. Jevon Marsh, what are your 5 property hacks? An example would be using Rightmove and sorting to upload dates so you can get it first, or checking the prices on mouse price. Keen to know any golden tips you have. Jevon, I used to have lots of hacks like that, checking the value, Rightmove and scraping it. Now I use an app. I use an app called Deal Sourcer app. Now I am a shareholder in the app, so that's a disclaimer, but I'll put it in the link in the description. But it basically, what the app does is it tells you the value of all the houses because it scrapes information from places like mouse price. You can check negative equity properties. It calculates the return on investment on every single property that's on Zoopla and the different sites. It's this incredible app, and it costs about £40 a month. And I think there's a free subscription or very cheap. I'm not really sure, but check in the description. I will leave a link. If whoever's filming this, make sure that it's in the link. Okay, Samir. I have a home and 3 flats which I rent out. The flats are cheap in central city area, so a great rental yield. Would you recommend selling the flats long term and buying houses to reduce costs, service charges, etc., and a faster growth in house prices? It depends on what the return on investment is. You say it's a great yield. What's the return? You say about service charges and stuff. If you're making a good return on those little flats, I'd leave them. Sit on them, because if they're giving you a good cash flow, then that's all you need. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do go up in value. Flats haven't gone up in value for so long, certainly in the Midlands. Oh man, I've had some annoying properties that just have not gone up. I've had a house down the road and the flat stayed still and the house has gone up, and I've thought, I wish I just bought more houses. However, that might change. So potentially just sit on them. But it's all about return on investment. I'll be working on that, not yield. Sports complications. Can you explain all about deal sourcing, like how much you get paid for it, criteria of a good deal, and what is an NDA? So an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. You're going to use that when you find a deal and you want to show it to an investor because you want him to pay you, but you don't want him to see the deal and then go and just do it and cut you out. So a deal sourcer is someone that packages deals and passes them on to investors and charges a fee. That is it. And it's got to be a deal that an investor wants, i.e. below market value, high cash flowing, positive. That's what deal sourcing is. I've sold hundreds of deals and it's very lucrative. Typically, you're going to get paid between £2,000 to £4,000 per deal that you sell. R. Mendola, what is the farthest you travel to find your golden patch? It's not so much about how far you'll travel, it's about making sure that your patch is close, the properties are close by to one another. So I don't care if my patch is 7 hours away from where I live because I'm not going to go there. But I do care if my house is an hour away and then another one's an hour that way and another one's an hour that way. I want them close together, and then I'm going to get a management system set up where it's all nice, because otherwise if you've got all over the place, you're going to have to get different management systems in different area, and that becomes a pain. Michael says, thank you for your generous heart. You're welcome, thank you. I'm raising some money to join Samuel 365. Respect. Samuel 365, for anyone that doesn't know, is where you get one-on-one mentoring, you get coaching, you get training, and it's £95 a month. And people say I'm expensive? Nope. Compare that to university? My goodness. But I'm wondering if I can still go ahead and register a limited company now, or wait until I am ready to buy my first property. And also, does the company name need to have a word like property in it? Or can I just pick any name I like for my company? You can pick any name you like for your company within reason. I think there might be certain words that you can't put in, but it does not have to have property in it. I wouldn't even set it up yet. I'd just wait a bit because, I mean, you can set it up really easily for about £15 on Company's House. But if you, I mean, with respect, if you're saying that you're saving up for Samuel 365, which is £95 a month, it might be that you're a little way before you're actually going to buy a house for yourself. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't rush to get business cards and set a company up and get a logo and all that. I'd be rushing to make some money. So I hope that helps. Christopher Hubbard. I'm in a town where there's no university or college. Is it possible to get a house and turn it into a HMO, or would it be a waste of time? Speak to a HMO management company in the area. You'd be surprised. Jay Kelwick. When selling deals, do you have to pay tax on the amount you charge to the investors? Yes, sadly you do. You have to pay tax on pretty much any money that you make. However, what you want to do to avoid paying tax is you want to buy stuff that's tax deductible. You're probably buying stuff at the moment that you could claim back as tax deductible. You don't even know it. You go out for a dinner and you talk business with your friend and you're chatting about business. If you're like me, you're talking about business all the time. That dinner is tax deductible. You join Samuel 365. You pay £95 a month. That is tax deductible because it's training. It's towards your business. So you want to just make sure that you're claiming everything as an expense, which is being knocked off your profit, meaning that you're going to pay less tax. But yeah, you are going to have to pay tax. If you're selling deals, making money, renting out houses, you're going to have to pay tax. Okay, Crypto Let's Go says, love your energy, man. You're so welcome. I love your name. These videos are great as I do worry about the future of my job with COVID-19. My dad has 2 to 3 properties that he hides from the tax man. Could he just sell them to a limited company he owns and be safe and legit that way, as he has owned these properties for many years? Well, as I just said in my last answer, you're gonna have to pay tax. You can't get around not paying tax. They will come for you. The worst person to steal from in the world is the government. If you steal from the government, they're going to come for you like a ton of bricks. They're going to strip you dry. They're going to take your blood. They're going to eat your kids. So if I was in you or your dad's situation, for sure, you can move it over to a limited company. If it's a limited company, you're going to really struggle to hide it because it's public. You're going to have to get someone to do your accounts once a year. In terms of the other properties, if he's managed to lie low. Another thing is, if you're not paying tax and you're going to have to lie low. I don't like lying low. I get reported to the tax people because sometimes people think I don't pay taxes or they just try and waste my time to upset me. But they've been and they've investigated me, and you know what happened? They actually owed me money because I accidentally overpaid. I think it was only a very small amount, but that was kind of cool because I don't want to be laying low. I've got a couple properties and I'm renting them out, but no one knows about it. I'm gonna lay low. I don't want to be laying low. I want to be telling the world I'm a property investor and building my portfolio and paying my taxes. So pay your taxes, but do be smart. Do be smart. Make sure that you're claiming tax deductible stuff, and for sure, but focus mostly on making money, not saving money. And should you go back and pay everything that you owe that slipped into the net? Probably yes. Probably yes. But I won't judge you if you don't do that at all. But I would never advise avoiding taxes illegally. You want to get around and find loopholes? Go crazy. Do it. And you know what? A lot of poor people will have a go at rich people just for finding loopholes. No, that's fine. I find loopholes. I will not pay tax legally, absolutely. And people will get all annoyed, but that's just called being smart. But not paying tax illegally, that's being stupid. Armendola, another bonus from renting where you live is if you split up with your wife and she becomes nasty, she can't take your house away from you because it's not yours. Yeah, okay, I don't know if that's a question or... That's not what I rent, by the way, but yeah, fair, sure. Okay, BMX Vloggers, have you ever lived in Lichfield? Yes, I have lived in Lichfield. I lived there previously to Beaconsfield, which is where I live now. Dave Jones, how would you use £70,000 to start a journey to become financially free? BRR, multiple buy-to-lets on cheaper end, mixture of both. BRR. Take the 70 grand, put it in, pull it out, put it in, pull it out as many times as you can. Buy it, refurbish it, refinance it, rent it. Aja Akon, what strategy would you use to be a property cash millionaire? I became a millionaire through deal packaging. I became financially free by buying houses with other people's money and lease options and HMOs. I became financially free, became a millionaire from then packaging and selling deals to other people. So that's just my experience. Isildin, also, no offense, what has been the worst biggest failure of your life? Oh, geez, this is deep. When doing real estate. Okay. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you for my get out of jail card. What's been the hardest thing? Oh man, I don't even know right now. I think probably when you become successful, you sometimes can alienate people that were your homies, your friends, family, school friends. You don't feel any different. You feel just the same. Like, hey, what's up? And people start treating, whispering and being a bit weird. I think for me, that was probably the hardest thing. It was just the more on a relational side, and you suddenly start getting lots of people that want to be your friend, but maybe for the wrong reasons. You don't know who you can trust. And then some of the older people that you used to be really good friends with, you can't quite relate in the same way. It's like, oh, should we go on holiday? And they might want to go to Wales in a caravan. That's like, that was very normal for me. I want to go to Dubai and stay at the most fancy hotel. So it's just different. So yeah, that's probably the hardest thing. But I'm probably going to start doing more videos on YouTube around hardships. Not so much around like my personal life, but just things that have gone, property deals that have gone wrong and stuff like that. The flip side. I mean, I get accused so often of just making everything rosy. And the truth is because, to be honest, as far as business and my property investments have been, mostly they've kind of been pretty rosy. I've been very successful. I'm 29 years old. I've done quite well. People say, what's your biggest regret or biggest mistakes? It's like, well, to be honest, I've done all right. So for me to start saying, oh man, I've got so many regrets would just be me being unreal and not true. But however, I have lost money on deals. So I'm going to be talking about those as well. Hope that helps. Okay, I'll just do maybe one or two more. Okay, same guy says, specifically, where did you learn about all the terms in real estate? Or did you just learn from the internet? I just learned by the terms just by doing it and being trained. I went on a lot of training programs, a lot of courses and stuff. I also paid for business mentors, and then I did it alongside. If you just go on lots of training courses but don't do it, you'd be a course junkie. But then if you just do it without the training, then you're going to be a motivated idiot that you're going to have a bash and you're going to have a crash. You need to do the two together, in my opinion. Last question. Aisha, I have £80,000 to invest in property. I'm 70 years old and no chance of a mortgage. What suggestions can you give me? I would suggest that you team up with somebody, and it's just, you know what? You're in the same situation as me, but you're in a better position because you're older, you're wiser, and you've got 70 grand. When I started out, I was 17 years old and I didn't have the money that you have, and I also couldn't get the mortgage. And I put it in a family member's name and managed to do a no money down deal. But if you've got the money, I'd just find like a grandson or a son or daughter or a friend that you can team up with. Let them do the hard work and all the running around and stuff. And you put the money in and give them a tiny percentage. If you said to some people who maybe are in their 30s and they're really keen to get into property, if you said, look, I got 70 grand, I'll put it into the deals, I'll find the properties, but I want you to manage it and do everything, and I'll just give you 5% stake in the property, but you're going to be the mortgage host, so to speak. A little joint venture, there'll be people that'll snap your arm off for that. So it's always about, when you've got a gap, whether you're 17 or whether you're 70, whether you've got money or whether you've not got money, like wherever you're at, you just got to think, what's my gap? And how can I partner with someone to fill that gap? But at the same time, how can I grow and get better so that my gaps fill? But you're always going to have gaps. You're always going to need people. No one's self-made. You're always going to need people to step in and help you in your gaps. So, folks, thank you so much. I really enjoy doing these Q&A Sundays. It's like one of my favorite days is now Sundays. I love reading your questions. So comment your questions. Again, smash the like button. I want to see you, the blue thumb up, the blue thumb, not white. And subscribe, turn the notification bell on, because honestly, if you're asking questions below, there's a very good chance I'll be answering your question next week. So you need to not only subscribe, but press that little notification bell so that when the video comes up, you get pinged and you can watch it and you can have your questions answered around property. Thanks so much. Peace out. I'll see you next time.